American farmers have destroyed themselves by voting for this Trump regime. Their hate for so many groups of people that they have learned to demonize allowed them to vote themselves out of business by voting for Donald Trump and today's MAGA Republicans. I don't know what else to say. We already know how the American soybean farmer was decimated. This fall, China, their biggest customer, placed exactly 0 orders for soybeans from American farmers because of Donald Trump's regime's tariffs. They went to Brazil. We all saw the videos of the farmers crying in Arkansas, I believe it was. Please, Mr. President, we love you, but come save us. Oh, you guys, it just gets so much worse. So you know how our $20 billion in taxes, yours, Mr. Farmer, and mine, was just snatched from us and given to the leader of Argentina to help keep their version of Donald Trump in power? Your 20 billion and my 20 billion? This was screenshot on our Department of Treasury's cell phone from our Department of Agriculture. Ready? Finally, just a heads up, I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate, the text said. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, and in return, the Argentines are removing their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices are dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. And he responds, Besant responds, on a plane, Scott, but I'll call you when I land. You guys voted for this. The Democrats, who y'all hate so much, you've been programmed to hate your fellow neighbor, your family members. You guys voted for this. We warned all of you because we're not in a cult. We could see how these decisions affect businesses, affect our farmers. We were fighting for farmers, telling you don't vote for this, and you voted for this. Your tax dollars, this Trump administration just used to fuck you even further, Mr. Soybean farmer, and grains. This affects a lot of other farmers, not just soybean farmers. Anybody who harvests and sells grains to China. Here you go.
Well, like we talked earlier, we went from 12 billion to 0, and then, as a farmer, we get up one morning and you give Argentina, which is our second biggest competition in the world. They're the largest exporters of soybean meal in the world. So I get up one morning, I turn the news on, and you give $20 billion of taxpayer money to my competition.
I wonder how it fucking feels to scream all election cycle, America first, America first, America first, just for the man that you elected simply because he wasn't going to give any money to foreign nations, looks at you and says, you're a farmer, that's okay, I'm going to bankrupt the fuck out of you by tariffing the shit out of China, causing them to buy soybeans from your biggest competitor, Argentina, and then while you guys are filing active bankruptcy because China is not buying your soybeans, I am going to turn around and instead of bailing you guys out, I am going to send a $20 billion check to your competitor, Argentina. What was that again about not wanting money to go to foreign nations? And then Donald Trump looks you in your bankrupting eyeballs and says, anyways, no bailout for you. We're going to give money to a foreign nation. And that foreign nation happens to be your competitor. I don't even understand how angry you must be to sit there and be that lied to. And then just there's nothing you could do about it, which is kind of diabolical to me because you guys did go through this the first term of his first term. And you said, let's do it again. America first, baby. give me a follow Mercedes Chandler something, face again, bye.
This is the faceless prophet and family. I'm not sure whether to laugh or cry at this one because yet again, the hypocrisy of Trump's supposed America First agenda is exposed. Get this. While American farmers are struggling to keep their heads above water, Donald Trump just decided to send a $20 billion bailout, not to Kentucky, not to Iowa, but to Argentina. Let me break this down. Right now, America's soybean farmers are in harvest season, the time of year when all that hard work finally pays off. But thanks to Trump's chaotic tariff war, their biggest customer, China, stopped buying U.S. soybeans completely, zero sales. And just as those soybeans are coming in, guess who swoops in to take America's place? Argentina. China bought 7 million metric tons of soybeans from them, and Argentina dropped its export taxes to sweeten the deal. Talk about kicking U.S. farmers while they're down. But here's the part that'll make your jaw drop. The very next day, Trump's Treasury Secretary, the same one who sat in on Trump's meeting with Argentina's president, announced a $20 billion swap line to support Argentina. That's government speak for a bailout. So Trump tells farmers at home to hang tight, says he'll help them later, and then wires $20 billion overseas to rescue a country that just stole their biggest buyer. That's not America first. That's Argentina first. Even farmers themselves are calling it out. Caleb Ragland, head of the American Soybean Association, said, "We've made zero sales to China because of these tariffs." Meanwhile, Democrats in the Senate wrote to Trump demanding he stop the bailout, saying it looks like he's trying to prop up his buddy in Argentina before their elections. And maybe that's the point. Because while farmers are praying for rain and fair prices, Trump's over here playing global politics with their livelihoods. But the Bible warns us about leaders who serve their own interests while their people suffer. Ezekiel 34:2 says, "Woe to the shepherds of Israel who only take care of themselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock, family?" Our farmers are the backbone of this country. They feed the world, and they deserve better than to be pawns in a billionaire's trade tantrum. So when Trump says tariffs are making America strong again, remember the farmers losing their land, their markets, and their hope, while Argentina cashes the check. So what do you think? Drop an amen in the comments if you agree with me that American farmers deserve better than broken promises and foreign bailouts. Or drop an ahem if you think it's perfectly fine to save Argentina while our own farmers suffer. This is the Faceless Prophet signing off, and I am praying for America.
Good morning. So it's Monday morning, and it's already started out to be a tough week. Anyway, I just wanted to weigh in a little bit because I'm trying to figure out MAGA if you have won. The sad part about all of this is that you're losing your jobs. The soybean farmers are just screwed. And not only on top of that, he started the trade war. He screwed y'all the first term with the trade war, and you all almost lost everything. Now you've lost everything, and now your boy gave $20 billion to Argentina so that Argentina can now sell soybeans, your soybeans that you need to sell to China. And he's bailing them out because his little friend did the same thing Trump is doing here and tanked their economy with that Doge type thing, tanked the economy, and now here we are. Also, from what I'm understanding, his friends are going to get billions and billions of dollars because they had invested in Argentina. They're going to lose their investments. Now, because of that $20 billion bailout, Argentina's going to be helped, gave their export taxes down to zero to China. Soybean farmers, you're screwed. And the sad part about it is, after all of this, your hate is so strong, you would vote for him again.
So soybean farmers who overwhelmingly voted for Trump in the last election are now running to MSNBC and crying to the woke liberal media because Fox News is no longer listening to them about needing a bailout for their failing farms. And the reason that they need a bailout is not because of Democrats, it's not because of Joe Biden, it is because of Donald Trump's failed economic policies regarding tariffs. Now, for a long time, U.S. farmers had it sweet because the vast majority of their product was being sold directly to China, like more than 50%. And this took a hit under Trump's first term because of the trade war that he got us into back in 2017. In the last years of Biden's presidency, U.S. exports of soybeans to China was around 54%. Do you know what that percentage is now? 0%. So because Donald Trump placed massive tariffs on China at the start of his term and got us embroiled into this crazy trade war with them, the Chinese placed retaliatory tariffs on our products, in particular on soybeans, which is a huge market for us. Because of this, U.S. soybeans now are 20% more expensive on average than what the Chinese are used to buying. Instead of buying from American farmers, the Chinese are simply turning to South America, and in particular Brazil. Brazil started selling a lot more soybeans to China. Now, instead of bailing out the farmers before the government shutdown, Donald Trump and his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent decided instead to send a $20 billion aid package to Argentina because their economy is on the verge of collapse. And then what does Argentina do? Argentina takes the fucking money and they run, but not before stabbing us in the back. They drop their export tariffs on soybeans to China. So now Argentinian soybeans are more attractive to the Chinese customers because they're around the same price as the Brazilian soybeans, but they're buying more. China bought a huge amount from Argentina. So now instead of China buying soybeans from U.S. farmers, they're now buying a lot more from Argentina and from Brazil. By the way, our America First administration, who just bailed out Argentina with $20 billion, when they were asked if they would help Zoran Mamdani if the city of New York faced any sort of economic hardships, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, literally told us to drop dead. Now, this is not a defense of farmers, and I want to be abundantly clear that we completely oppose any sort of bailout package that the Trump administration is preparing to give farmers. Completely, period. We've already had to bail them out once in Trump's first term because he started a trade war with China back then, and the Chinese government stopped buying soybeans from us, and so we had to bail out the farmers already. Every time that these farmers need a bailout, Democrats come running along, ready to give them a bailout. And for what? These people are not going to vote for Democrats. These people do not give a fuck about the other side of the aisle. They don't care. What is the point of pandering to these people? These people not only overwhelmingly supported Trump, they knew the consequences. They knew that he was hawkish on China. This was no fucking secret, by the way. It was no secret that he was running on tariffs the entire fucking election. He spent the whole time talking about it. We tried to warn you. He wanted to reshape the U.S. global position on free trade. And you thought that wasn't going to affect you? You thought that all the times that he was going to place tariffs on China, you didn't think that was going to affect you? Now, I want to make myself extra clear when I say that it is completely financially irresponsible to give farmers another bailout. They're playing a fixed game. They have a guaranteed buyer for their product. It's very easy to run a business that way. But these people are also the loudest opponents whenever anyone talks about student debt relief, whenever anybody talks about expanding healthcare coverage. They are the loudest opponents to those things. And it's very easy to sit on a pedestal when your entire business model is predicated on government assistance. Now, the most common argument that we hear for giving farmers bailouts is that if we don't give them a bailout, the U.S. is going to starve, which makes sense until you think about it for more than 10 seconds. I don't eat soybeans. Do you eat soybeans? No, in fact, nobody eats these soybeans. These soybeans are all sent to China, and then they get converted to feed for their livestock. So no, we aren't literally going to fucking starve if we don't bail out the farmers. That shit is just Republican propaganda at this point. I'll give farmers the same advice you guys give us when we ask for, better healthcare, when we ask for student debt relief. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Stop asking for a handout. Now look, if I had to choose between giving a bailout to our U.S. farmers or giving a bailout to the right-wing authoritarian government of Argentina, of course I'm going to choose our farmers. But Trump didn't, and that tells you everything you need to know.
Europe and farm country are utterly livid at the Trump administration for an, frankly, inscrutable, utterly outrageous bailout that it made to Argentina last week. But why are farmers angry? So here's why. Because of Trump's trade war with China, China has bought 0 soybeans from American farmers this year. China eats about 2/3 of all the soybeans around the world. Last year, China, I think, accounted for about 52% of soybean purchases. So in other words, without China buying soybeans from U.S. farmers, our farmers are utterly screwed. Now, the only other real alternatives for China are, one, to grow them in China, and they're trying to do that long term, but really to purchase them from Brazil and also Argentina. Most of what they get, but when they're not getting it from us, comes from Brazil, but Argentina is also a huge producer of soybeans. So last week, the Trump administration announced a $20 billion bailout of Argentina because Trump said he's supporting his friend in the upcoming election, Javier Milei. Javier Milei, you might remember, this is Elon Musk's buddy who did like a Doge type move on Argentina, and he drove the Argentinian economy into the ground, now needs a massive bailout. So Trump is offering this $20 billion lifeline. The same day that Trump and Besant announced this lifeline, Reuters reports that Argentina is now shipping massive amounts of soybeans to China and cut its export taxes to zero. In other words, the American money that we're sending to Argentina is making up the gap. So Argentina now doesn't have to charge these export fees on its soybeans, so China gets a huge discount. So China is out there scrambling, trying to find soybeans to feed its population without buying American soybeans because they're in a trade war that we started with them. And Trump just made it much cheaper and easier for China to buy those from Argentina. Now, there's another brutal aspect to this that isn't getting any coverage, and it's that American hedge funds invested heavily in Argentina after Milei was elected because they thought that his libertarian slash everything approach to the economy was actually going to turn things around and make Argentina a good investment. It didn't work at all. The economy collapsed. And so these American hedge funds were about to lose billions and billions of dollars on these stupid investments. But now Besant, a former hedge fund guy, is the Treasury Secretary now, is coming in, and thanks to the bailout, the hedge funds are actually going to make a profit. And the final piece of this is that this is not the first time that Trump has done this to soybean farmers. The first time he was president, he started a trade war with China, and China responded by not buying soybeans from American farmers. And China instead told Brazil, we want to up our purchases from you. And then they actually started investing and helping Brazil build more highways, and they're putting more than $200 million into this port of Santos to help create capacity so that they can massively expand production of soybeans and exports to China. So they've basically almost doubled production from 2017 to today. Brazil has, and of course, all of these Brazilian soybeans that are being produced now are coming at the expense of the Amazonian rainforest, which was chopped down in order to make room for them. So awesome! Everybody's winning.
Donald Trump imposes tariffs on China, so China stops buying soybeans from American farmers. China, who was the -- customer of American farmers regarding soybeans. Trump then turns around and gives $20 billion to Argentina. China, who stops buying soybeans from American farmers because Donald Trump is imposing tariffs with no purpose other than to punish China. China then turns around and goes and buys soybeans from the very country that Donald Trump just gave $20 billion to rescue. Trump took money and business out of American farmers and American taxpayers and gave it to Argentina so that Argentina can do business with China and make the money that the American farmers would have been making had Donald Trump not imposed these ridiculous tariffs on China. But Trump is still making America great. What the fuck?
So the Trump administration gives Argentina $20 billion in aid. And what do? They turn around and start selling soybeans to China. This is the type of Trump cronyism you get with Trump spending and wasting taxpayer dollars. Share your thoughts below and follow me for more.
What's up, my beautiful people? It's your lovely girl Beryl. Thank you so much for all of you who have been here. Thank you for all your subscription and likes, comments. If you are new here, please ensure you have hit that subscribe button. So today we're looking at exactly what's going on with the farmers in the United States. What's happening? You've seen the video compilation of exactly what's going on. When President Trump announced a sweeping agricultural bailout, okay, Many believed it would actually show up the backbone of America's heartland. They promised to stabilize the prices, secure incomes, and just shield farmers from the volatility of global markets. But the script soon went off course. And you've seen the video compilation of how those farmers are just sharing their frustration from all the promises that they were given. They were told that if you make America great again, we are going to do this and this and this. They even asked for help, they asked for bailouts. But now what's happening? People are just there like, we told you this would happen. We told you this would take place, right? So consequences, karma is just here. Across Iowa, Nebraska, and the rolling plains of the Midwest, farmers actually watched in disbelief as their corn and all their produce, soybeans, name it, they became collateral damage to them. The input soared, global demand shifted, and suddenly the safety net looked more like a trap. So family farms, the ones that voted red hats and slogans, are now finding themselves drowning in debt, struggling to make ends meet. The promises of relief feel hollow when your tractor sits idle and your bins sit empty. So that's exactly what's going on. The global market has shifted. Even China is no longer. China was the number one exporter of soybean, right, from the US. But right now, they're looking for other places. The trade wars because of the tariffs. A lot is happening. And remember, these farmers, 90% of them voted red. Now their tractors are just sitting there idle. And remember, this is a family farm. It means it has been inherited and it's like a family business. So whatever is happening is giving them a lot of challenges, since the consequences is not only affecting them, but generations on their family and now a community and the rest. Anyway, karma is just there. Choices have consequences, right? So, but while America farmers are feeling like they've been let down, Argentina is quietly mounted and they're taking over. Argentina is taking over. And on South American pampas, massive soybean harvests are now pouring into the global supply chain. With the lower labor costs, favorable growing conditions, and export friendly policies, Argentina is gobbling up market shares that once belonged to the US. Soybeans, I will come back again to soybeans. Argentina has taken over the market. Like, it has hit them with a large shock. Why? They're now even taking they're the ones who are the number one exporter of soybeans now from the US. They have taken over the industry, and there's nothing that the farmers in the United States are able to do. The president is trying his best to give them bailouts, tariffs, name it, help, but nothing is changing. The economy for the farmers is even getting worse and worse, right? So here's the math. Argentina's soybean exports surged by double digits even as US shipment has flatlined. Buyers are chasing cheaper prices and consistent supply turned south instead of north. Meanwhile, subsidies and bailout funds in the US have failed to counterbalance the sharp edge of global competition. They're not able to produce that huge amount of produce. Why? They deported their laborers. They don't have enough people to work in the farms. Why? They wanted to vote MAGA. They wanted to, DT to be in power. So consequences are here and they're very big. Now they don't have a market. What are they gonna do? So, in a small town in Kansas, the Jacksons used to rely on soybean to fund their kids' college. Now, they're just wondering whether they'll have enough just to keep the farm. In Illinois, a second generation farmer reluctantly sells off equipment just to cover farm debts. The bailout checks came late, and they arrived as a drop in an ocean of red ink. You can imagine. What that means? It's not enough. Even if there are 100 bailouts, it's still not enough. So what went wrong? Was it overconfidence in government support, or misreading of global trends, or was it just simply too late, little too late for them to be helped? Please tell me in the comment section what you think about this. The bailout may have been offered temporarily and given them a temporary relief, but not the structural changes that they needed to compete in the global market. Because competition is very stiff. You can even see they're not able to produce the amount that is needed by their competitors. So obviously, people are gonna go for the one that is consistent and has a huge supply compared to the one in the US. So the fallout is just beginning as Argentina tightens its grip on the soybean market. US farmers may be forced out or swallowed by corporate agribusinesses, and politically, the base that once cheered America first might come to feel America last. This gets crazier and crazier every time. So, this is just more than a story about crops and tariffs. It's about the promise and betrayal, about forces outrunning national ambition, and about the farmers who believed in a comeback that might never arrive. So let me just tell you, these MAGA farmers voted red. Deportations were done, and mind you, the helpers who were there were mostly illegal immigrants, right? Some of them. You can't come to work in a state where even if you're just a person of color, you can't come to help them. Why? They might even see and call ICE even though you are legally supposed to be there. When they sang, I will vote, they wanted to vote DT, right? They thought it would make America to be great, the greatest nation in the world. What's happening right now? They can't even afford to save their farms. Other global markets are taking over. Choices do have consequences, and karma goes around and it's here to stay. So next time when you're choosing someone in power, please ensure that you choose a policy that is there for the people, for everyone, not only you. Consider the rest and listen to people when they try to tell you something. Thank you so much for being here, and please, we need to head to 500 subs, and it's only possible by you supporting me and subscribing to my channel. I hope you have a great weekend, and please take care of yourself, and I want to know what you're thinking in the comment section. Love you. Bye.